This team is not playing well. They better figure something out if they want to go anywhere in the future.
Washington finishes with 397 total yards. Dallas, 142 so far, or at least throughout the course of this one. But whenever you have 2.5 yards per play, and that's what the Cowboys had today, and they were shut down offensively. It starts with the line of scrimmage, yes, but where does where do you go from here?
You just recheck yourself. You go back in and you do what you got to do. I mean, each individual player, and we've been saying this week in and week out, this is coming down to each individual player trying to be the best that he can be. I truly believe that it starts on both offensive and defensive lines. If we've been lacking due to injuries on the offensive line, due to not playing well on the defensive line, and it's the interior of both offensive and defensive lines, so they have to just reboot is maybe the easiest word I can use without trying to be ugly about the situation, and gather themselves and play hard and play smart.
Isaiah?
This team is wounded. They're a wounded animal, right? And when you're an opposing team and you know that you see a wounded animal, what are you going to do? You're going to let them boys go, right? You let your dogs go. And that's exactly what every team we're playing right now is going to do. They are coming after us with everything that they have, and we are not proving that we can stop it. As Nate alluded to, this offensive line playing terrible, defensive line playing terrible. You ask, what can we do to really stop this bleeding? In my opinion, it's open competition. I feel like there's a sense of entitlement for a lot of players on this team right now where guys just feel like they should just be in positions to play. I should be the starter because I played in the league this long or I'm getting paid this much. Forget that. This week, open practice. We're going to see we have one-on-ones all week long, and whoever wants to play, they're going to show it in practice.
Well, you go and taking it back to high school.
Exactly, high school. You want to play, you got to earn it, man.
You know, it's not that simple. Yeah. I mean, what you have to do, man, as a head coach is you talk to your leaders, whoever those leaders may be. Mm-hmm. You talk to them and you tell them, say, hey, man, this is the last word. As you say, it's going to be some changes. It can't be wholesale changes because you don't have maybe 60 players counting the practice squad and those guys. But what you do have to do, man, is keep that open competition over. If Gregory comes in and has a good week, how about starting him? Yep. You know, how about giving Hamilton, the big kid, give him a chance, number 79. Hey, let's start him. Let's see if he's Arneas, the young Utah linebacker. Hey, if he's hungry, let's give him a shot, because now to say you're going to turn it around this late, you've lost to a division opponent, you got the Eagles on the horizon. Hey, man, it's about the best man who wants to play this game of football.
Where would they make those changes, though? That's the biggest question here, because, like you said, it's not like you have just a complete and utter
it ain't Oklahoma or Texas where you got 100 players.
You don't have an open tryout, but whenever it comes to hold on to the football, you had the one turnover today. Now that came at a huge point in the ball game right at the end of that first half. But where do you start in terms of looking at different guys? Is it the young guys that now have to step up and see more playing time? I mean, a couple of them were inactive today.
No, what happens is, and I think we've both been on pretty competitive teams in the past, right? Organizations. You know, I can really allude to my time in Seattle, right, where it was just open competition. You understood that when you're a player in Seattle, we're competing. We're competing at our position. We're competing on our side of the ball. We're competing against other teams that we play against. And when you feel like your position is going to be threatened by somebody else coming in and taking your spot, guess what? You figure out a way to start playing some ball. And right now, there's no sense of competition on this team. There's no sense of heart. And that's probably more discouraging than anything else that we're seeing on the field right now. It just doesn't appear as if these guys have the heart and tenacity to play.
It just, what gets you, what baffles you, is running backs that have not had a 100-yard game, or been hovering around 80 yards per game. Now they break out and have 70 extra yards, more than they've been having. One guy go for 90 yards 3 weeks in a row, and all of a sudden he comes out and get 164. He couldn't even get 100 yards in college. And that was last week. Now that we got Antonio Gibson, I mean, he's a good running back, but he breaks us off, and that cannot happen.
Washington entered the week as the worst rushing team in the league, and they come out with 128 yards from Gibson. McKissick has 35 yards, another 34 yards from Barber behind the line of scrimmage. So, yes, they were able to run the ball and they were able to move it again. But you look at the running game on the offensive side for the Cowboys, there was maybe a switch in there as well. Now, Ezekiel Elliott was in the second half, or second quarter rather, with that interception that bounced off of his hands and into the hands of the defense. Did you see a change there that sparked something for the Cowboys if Tony Pollard really saw the majority of the playing time?
Well, what it is, it could be one or two things. They say, okay, Zeke, okay, game over. They kind of shut it down and say, okay, Zeke, we'll save you for the next game. Or they'll say, let's see what Tony Pollard got. Let's see, can he give us a different spark? And I talked about this before the game started on our pregame show, that you may see a little bit more of Tony Pollard depending on how this game goes and what's happening with Zeke. We're in dire straits. We're not a very good football team, and the coaches may can see it getting better. We're not on the inside. But what we see every week now, the point production has gone down since Dak has gone out. Now it's showing the very weakness of the defense even more. Mm-hmm. It's showing it even more. We were like 8 or 9 points away from setting a record of 36 points per game defensively. So each man, check yourself, man. And coaches, do what you have to do, but we have to be a better product as Dallas Cowboy players. And I'm speaking from inside as a player, and I was brought up on this before as a player. We was 1-15, 3-13. So I had to check myself. Yep. And the check man was Jimmy Johnson, and the check man was Coach Landry, and those guys didn't buke so Coach McCarthy had to become the check man.
Yeah, he's going to have to play a factor in this. Now, Isaiah, whenever you looked at Andy Dalton early on, of course, he was under pressure for the majority of the game and ended up getting sacked a couple different times, took the hit in the third quarter. But what did you think about what he was bringing to the table as kind of a veteran quarterback? We saw that early on.
No, Andy Dalton actually was doing pretty well, to be honest with you. And I think we know that, Nate, as former players. I know from a fan perspective, people are going to say, oh, Andy Dalton's not Dak. Okay, we understand that he's not Dak, right? And then the team has obviously had a little bit of a lull since Dak's left out. But Andy Dalton was controlling this team. He was controlling the line of scrimmage. He was hard counting these guys and getting them to jump off sides. He was continuing to move these chains along. He had a lot of pressure. Obviously, he had a ton of pressure, as so did DiNucci when he came in, right? Pressure was there. But when he had the opportunity to sit back there and deliver the ball, he was discouraged because guys were dropping the ball, right? He was putting the ball on the money in guys' hands and they were dropping it. Guys were just not making the plays they needed. And then obviously he had the one bad pass on when they kept running the flat routes, and then they ran Zeke on an arrow route across the middle towards right before the half on his back shoulder. You can't do that. He can't put the ball there, especially on a running back. And that turnover happened and took place. And up to that point, I felt like he was doing okay as a quarterback with what he was dealing with. He was
under duress.
He was on a lot of duress. And
yes.
I don't care unless it was Mike Vick or Kyler Murray or anybody that could run like that. He was going to be stressing.
Yeah, he was under duress the majority of the time, and only 4 completions to receivers not named Amari Cooper in this one. Both CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup blanked on that. We've still got more post-game reaction coming. We'll hear from the locker room coming up a little bit later on. Stick with us here on DallasCowboys.com, but that'll do it for the first word.